The odds are growing right now for Invest 93L to become possibly a tropical depression. Still a chance it could turn into a tropical storm. Let's get the expert on this. Let's bring in Fox Weather Hurricane Specialist Bryan Norcross to break it down. Bryan, great to see you this afternoon. I get the new information. What do we have out there?
Yeah, Bob, we have an update from the National Hurricane Center as of 2 p.m. And let me show you what we're looking at here. First of all, where the X is there, that's where the nominal center is of this system. And the area here is where there's a 40% chance of it developing here over the next couple of days as it moves into the Gulf. It's not going to develop over the state of Florida. And I don't think any development, if it happens, is likely to happen until it's way over here closer to New Orleans, and we'll take a look at why that is here in just a second. The estimated top winds right now at 30 miles per hour in just bursts somewhere related to the general circulation. Look at it close up, and this tells the story, and this tells you why we don't think it's going to develop anytime quickly. There's where the low-level center is. So this is the center of low pressure down at the surface of the ocean or the surface of the earth. But over here, where the thunderstorms are, because we have strong upper-level winds pushing this way, that's kind of tearing it apart. And this is also over here is where the kind of center in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Think of the whole circulation as being tilted over in this direction here. So we're going to track the mid-level center because the low-level center is heading over land. It's heading up that way. And the question is, will the mid-level center develop a new low-level center when it gets over here in the Gulf, or will it stay just disorganized like this and never be able to organize? So that's our open question right now. Here's the wide view, and you see a couple things. First of all, there's the action related to the center, so to speak. And then we have this tropical feed coming up and wrapping into it. And this tropical feed is causing rain over the southern part of the state. But also, we have dry air here wrapping around this way. And that's why we have southwest Florida is pretty dry. The Treasure Coast is dry. The Panhandle, Tallahassee is dry right now and very hot, by the way. But so you can see that it's a combination of tropical moisture being pulled in and dry air with all that dry air. That's another negative factor on this thing eventually forming or developing any kind of organization. Look at the radar. Here you can see the tropical moisture all spreading north. So as this system heads west in general, this tropical moisture is going to come up over the peninsula. So we're going to have just this continuing moisture feed into tomorrow until this thing completely moves on away. So where is it going and what's it going to do? So here's what the model depiction is of it. There you see the bundle of moisture that's related more or less to the center. Here's the tropical feed coming in. Here's that tail going back that you saw that kind of headed up toward New Orleans. So it's kind of a big sort of comma shaped on its side kind of system. Now let's go forward in time and look at the time up here. So here we are tomorrow morning. It's moved on across the state. Now remember, we're going to track the mid-level center because the low-level center is going over land. So how these two things are going to work together and whether they'll either recombine or just a whole new low-level center will start, that's an open question. But the mid-level center is really important. But you see, here we are tomorrow morning. Look at this. It's a big kind of broad area of low pressure here. We just nominally put the X where we think it might be, but anyway, not organized by tomorrow morning, but plenty of moisture with it. And then the question is, when we get here to Thursday midnight, you can see it's more of a unified circulation. Is it there or is it up here? That's an open question, but more organized midnight going into Thursday. And then we get to Thursday evening, and we have it up here somewhere near the coast, and we plotted the L's on here. So if it's over the water, there's a chance. So this is the time period on Thursday when we might get some kind of development out of it. You can kind of make out it just looks more round now, so that those hostile winds are kind of letting up by Thursday. But I think more likely early Thursday. So let's take a look at the hostile winds and where these L's are early on Thursday, going back to Thursday morning now, right here. And you'll see if it gets in this spot here where you have the light light blues. Notice the strong winds are all down here. They're ripping them down here. But there's a little bit less up in here. So there's kind of a sliver of room, perhaps, for this thing to pull itself together before it comes ashore here somewhere, probably in southern Louisiana, and just sort of weakens over land eventually. All right, how about the rain? Because that's the big story here. Whether it gets organized or not, it doesn't look like it could get very strong. So we have, look where the dark green is in Florida. This is much less than we were thinking yesterday, by the way, because all that dry air got involved. A little dark green pocket down here in southeast Florida, dark green being 1 to 2 inches today. Larger area here in west central Florida. Notice some embedded areas up there, 2 to 3 inches, some places maybe even 5 or 6 inches in real slow-moving tropical downpours. So that's in Florida. But then we get over here to Louisiana and along the Gulf Coast, Pensacola, Mobile, Biloxi, Gulfport, and so on. And the reason there's so much more rain forecast here is because the system is forecast to slow down and perhaps get a little bit better organized. So this is where we expect to see flood threats be issued by the National Weather Service, flood watches, and then perhaps flash flood warnings and so forth. So I want everybody there in the southern part of Louisiana and along the Gulf Coast to be aware of that, coming especially beginning late tomorrow into Thursday and Friday will be the days there. And then maybe even lasting into the weekend, but should be tapering off as the system weakens or moves on by. So, Bob, nothing is imminent with this. It's all kind of tearing apart at the moment and moving over land and so forth. But still, a pretty good rainmaker over Florida, but not what we were thinking yesterday or saw yesterday. And then we'll focus on the Gulf Coast here later in the week. Bob?
Brian, I got to tell you, I'm mesmerized watching it. It's like I was just in the film room watching Belichick. Here's your X's, here's your O's. It's all going this. I was like, man, this is awesome. Man. You're so good at that stuff, drawing on the whiteboard. Bryan Norcross, our hurricane specialist. Thanks a lot, Brian. We'll check back in with you a little bit later on today. Thanks.